Hey guys, let's talk about how we can manipulate the results of a command or an application using redirections. In Linux, any program that you run has three important components: standard input, standard output, and standard error. Standard input provides some input to the program. For example, a command that you might type in the terminal. Standard input is represented in Linux by 0. Standard output, represented by 1, is the output of that program. For example, the results that you get when you hit enter after typing a command. Lastly, Linux has standard error, which logs any errors that are generated if the system is not able to run a command. Standard error is represented by 2. Now, we can use various redirection techniques to manipulate how these are handled. For example, we can make a command output its results into a file instead of printing them on screen. So let's head back to our lab to get started. Now, as you can see in the terminal, I'm in my documents folder. If I was to type in ls here, I'll get a list of files in my current directory on my screen. If I was to redirect the results of this ls command into a file, I'll do that by typing in the command ls and then greater than sign for redirection, and then the file name where I want the results to be redirected to. So let's call it myfile.txt. Now once I hit enter, you would have noticed that I did not get an output on screen this time because I redirected the output into myfile.txt. So if I was to cat myfile.txt, I can see that the result of ls command was redirected to this particular file. Now, one thing to note is that by default, a single greater than sign overwrites the existing data. So let's remove one of the files and let's run the redirection command again, and let's cat myfile.txt one more time. Now as you can see, this was the original data, this is the modified data, and this command has overwritten the existing data in this file. Now if we wanted to append rather than overwrite, we'll use two greater than signs. So ls, two greater than signs, and then the file name. And if I cat this file this time, you can see I have appended data into this file rather than overwriting it. Now these redirection techniques come in particularly handy when we are working with applications or scripts. Now I have a script here, errorscript.sh, and if I was to view the contents of this particular script, don't worry about the commands in the script itself because we'll be covering these in the video on scripts. But for now, this particular command will result in a standard output, and this particular command will result in an error because this is some garbage piece of code that I've written. I can run this script by typing in / and then script name, and as you can see, I have one line of standard output and one line of standard error. Now I can redirect the standard output by typing in the command to run the script and then 1, because standard output is represented by 1 in the Linux system. So going back to the slide, now we can redirect it using single greater than sign, and let's give it a name. Let's call it out.log. And if I was to run this command now, you can see that this time we only got the error printed on the screen because the output was actually redirected to out.log, and we can view the contents of out.log to validate that the redirection was completed. We can redirect standard error in the same way. So we hit up arrow to go back to the command that redirected the output, and let's modify this command to redirect error. So standard error is represented by 2, so 2 greater than sign and then error.log, and we can hit enter, and this time we've got the output on screen rather than error because error was moved into file error.log. Now let's clear it because we'll need a clear slate for the next one. Now we can also club these commands together, so we can type in the command to run the script and then 1, and then greater than sign and then out.log and space 2 greater than sign and then error.log, and this will redirect the standard output to out.log and standard error to error.log. Now if we wanted to append rather than overwrite existing logs, we'll use 2 greater than signs, and also by default 1 is the default behavior of redirection techniques, so we can remove the 1 and we'll have similar results. So if I was to hit enter now, and if I was to cat out.log first, and we've got this file has a standard output twice because we were appending the second time, and we can read the contents of error.log in a similar way. Now let's clear the screen again. Now in the next scenario, let's talk about the scenario where, let's say you wanted both standard output and standard error to go into a single file. We can achieve that by typing in the command to run the script and then the command to redirect the standard output to out.log, and then 2 to tell the system we want to redirect standard error, and then single greater than sign, and then ampersand, and then 1. And what this piece of code will do is it will tell the system that redirect the standard error to wherever the standard output has been redirected to, which was this file. And if I was to hit enter here, and if I was to read the contents of out.log, my expectation is that this time it will have the standard error as well because I'm using an append. And sure it is, we've got the standard error going into out.log as well. So again, the command to run the file, the command to redirect the standard output to out.log, and the last piece of code is the command that tells the system to redirect the standard error to wherever standard output is redirected to. With this, we've come to the end of this lecture. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next lecture. Bye.